Hello students, welcome to science class by Vaishali Mokashi. In the previous video, we have learnt about biodiversity and need of classification. So let us continue with five kingdom system of classification. Robert Harding Whittaker was an American ecologist. In 1969, he divided living organisms into five groups. For this classification, Whittaker considered following criteria. The first criteria which was taken into consideration was the complexity of cell structure, means which cell has simple structure and which one has complex structure. Accordingly, living organisms are classified as prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Pro means primitive and karyon means nucleus. So prokaryotic cells do not have well-developed nucleus and even membrane-bound cell organelles are absent. So its structure is simple. And eukaryotic cells, Eu means true and karyon means nucleus. So in these eukaryotic cells, nucleus is well developed and membrane-bound cell organelles are also present. The second criteria which was used in this classification was complexity of organisms. If the organisms have only one cell or single cell, then it is unicellular, and the organism with many cells called as multicellular. The third criteria which he considered was mode of nutrition, that is, method of intake of food. There were three criteria based on mode of nutrition. Autotrophic means self-nutrition, the organisms which prepare their own food called as autotrophic organisms. Plants are autotrophs. Second, heterotrophic. Hetero means others. Trophic means nutrition. So the organisms which obtain their food from others, that is, they depend on other plants or animals called as heterotrophic organisms. For example, elephant, deer, lion, humans, etc. Third one, saprophytic, the organisms which obtain their food by absorption from dead organisms. For example, fungi, mushroom, yeast, molds, etc. The fourth criteria was lifestyle. There were three categories according to the lifestyle. Producers, organisms which can produce their own food called as producers. For example, plants produces their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Second, consumers. Consumers cannot produce food and so they depend on various sources of food. This category includes all animals and human beings. Third one, decomposers. Organisms who feed on dead plant and animal. For example, bacteria, fungi, and worm. The fifth criteria was phylogenetic relationship. Phylogenetic relationship means evolutionary relationship. For example, how we evolved from a single bacteria to the most complex organism, that is human being. In this, living organisms are classified as prokaryotic to eukaryotic and unicellular to multicellular. So, now let us learn in detail. Unicellular prokaryotes belongs to the kingdom Monera. Unicellular eukaryotes belongs to the kingdom Protista. Next, coming to multicellular organisms, the cell structure is taken into consideration. That is, whether cells have a cell wall or not. So, multicellular organisms with no cell wall belongs to the kingdom Animalia. And now the organisms with cell wall were divided based on the nutrition diet, whether they are autotrophic or heterotrophic. So multicellular organisms with cell wall and that can perform photosynthesis belong to the kingdom Plantae, whereas multicellular organisms having cell wall but unable to perform photosynthesis belongs to the kingdom Fungi. Thus, this way we have learnt the five kingdom system of classification proposed by Robert Whittaker. Now, next kingdom and its characteristics with examples in detail we are going to learn in next session. Thank you.